this afternoon is Emergence Theory and panentheism enter the church. But today, I want to put in front of you a choice. Does God say that future judgment is certain and that we need Christ's substitutionary death applied to us to avoid hell? Or the alternative that the emergence would tell us, does God say that there is no future judgment and that all people and all of creation will be reconciled to God even if they reject Christ? That is the choice that is before us, and that's the choice that's actually before the whole world, because this other stuff, this spiritual evolution, is saying we are not headed toward judgment. And if there's going to be no judgment and all paths lead to God, then, of course, you really don't need a Savior, and Jesus becomes something else, the cosmic Christ or what have you. In September of 2009, I flew to Chicago to attend an emergent conference called A Theological Conversation with Jürgen Moltmann. So here's a little account of my trip to Chicago. There were 250 emergent pastors and leaders. These were leaders. These weren't just the followers. These were the leaders. A lot of the people I met at the conference I actually have cited in my book. Now, one of the things I noticed about this, and what I want to talk to you about, is your children and your grandchildren and your nieces and your nephews or any loved ones in your life that are about college age. The emergent is targeting college age. That's who's attracted these people. These leaders are highly educated. The level of the language there was highly intellectual. And it's always seemed to be the case, at least in the last 100 years, that young people that head off to college are attracted to the people who seem to have different answers or better answers, and they're educated. So I would say that the people there, I can see why people like them. They're very sincere. I thought that their ideas are certainly way wrong, but they're committed to their ideas. They really believe what they really believe. They think they should do the social gospel and do good deeds out in the world, and they do that, okay? And so young people that are idealistic tend to be attracted to these kind of people, and I'd say they're very attractive in a kind of a seductive way. They grew up in the church, most of them, and they universally did not like what the church was or what the church had to offer. I'm telling you this because this is why we have to worry about our young people. If they come in contact with this movement and these people, they'll be drawn to it if they're not equipped by the Bible. Okay? These people are sucking up thousands and thousands of young people out of evangelical churches. And the reason they're coming out of the evangelical churches into emergent is because they didn't see any substance in the evangelical church. Many of them, the youth groups, are just simply entertainment things. They don't know the Bible. They don't know the gospel. So they're defenseless. They're defenseless against this. The prevailing view in contemporary educational institutions is postmodern. What some people are falsely believing and they're implementing this is they're believing that if they don't go emergent, or if they don't have something that looks emergent or sounds emergent or feels emergent, their young people won't want to go there. They're willing to give up on the education of a whole generation, turn them over to the wolves, and let them have their experience. We can't teach old-fashioned theology, they say, to the young people. Yes, we can. Because the young leaders of this movement are intellectuals, Christian young people admire them. They listen to them. Many Christian churches have failed to provide an intellectually viable and satisfactory defense of the historical Christian faith. As we've been saying all day, the topic now is spiritual evolution. If we can't fight spiritual evolution, then we're not even relevant to what questions are being asked and what things are being asserted. Something has to change. And I think this dumbing down of the church is horrible. It's horrible. There is no reason why we can't be well enough trained and well enough equipped to deal with the heresies that are coming into the church on their own level, call them what they are, and show how they're wrong. Why can't we do this? Why do we have to allow the entire movement to go into this postmodern ditch? Okay, let me, one more point. We lack a 21st century Francis Schaeffer. Francis Schaeffer saw in the middle of the 20th century that the liberals were drawing young people into liberalism because the liberals were the intellectuals. Now I'm going to put up here some things that I took for my notes, Jürgen Moltmann. Universal salvation for the universe. Universal cosmic redemption, including all things ecological and human. We prepare the way for the kingdom by anticipating our potentialities. God is reconciling himself to the world and does not need a sacrifice. Okay? People have said, why are you so critical of the emergent church? They believe the same things we do. No, they do not. Get this through your mind. They do not believe in substitutionary atonement. They flat out don't believe it. And I was at their conference where they say they don't believe it. What's panentheism? We've been talking about that here all day. God is in everything. Let's see what Moltmann has to say about that. Quote, mutual indwelling more than panentheism. It's even more than that. So it's closer to pantheism, but not quite. Mutual indwelling. God's Spirit is in everything. God's glory is reflecting itself in all things, but we have no eyes to see it. The end is the deification of the world. God is enfolded in the world, so he has to be unfolded, and that's where you get the concept of emergence. So God, who's stuck into his own world, is emerging out. Same idea. Do you see any similarities to what we heard from Oprah's people? Yeah, it's the same ideas. Panentheism is the theological background for emergence theory. Emergence theory, and I'm quoting here Leonard Sweet, Brian McLaren, and a guy named Hasselmeyer that wrote a book called The Language of the Emergent Church. A is for abductive is the main title. Emergence theory incorporates into an intellectual and spiritual framework ancient and recent arguments of intelligent design with certain aspects of evolution. In this view, part of the goodness of creation is an inherent potential to generate new possibilities so that more and more goodness can emerge. That's their panentheistic way of saying God is in everything and he's emerging. Do you know how the Bible uses the term spiritual? It doesn't use it in a pantheistic or panentheistic way. It uses it in a relational way. The one who has Christ is spiritual. The one who does not is carnal. We're losing them. The young professors that are graduating with PhDs and getting hired in our Bible colleges are almost all postmodern. And they're teaching our young people. And I'm crying out to the church, we have to wake up. I don't know who's going to do this. Where's Francis Schaeffer? Well, he's with the Lord. Who's going to take this stuff on point by point, head on, and deal with it? We must start providing rigorous biblical training for our young people. We need to start dealing with today's issues, not just yesterday's. For example, spiritual evolution and mysticism are today's issues, and our apologists are going around talking about secular humanism and biological evolution. Even many involved in Christian apologetics are fighting yesterday's battle, and Warren said the same thing. Our young people must be shown that there are solid answers to postmodern critiques of Christianity. We need to answer those people. We need to come back with the answer. Biblical Christianity has answers. We don't have to sit on the sidelines. We need to step up to the plate, and now's the time we need to do it.
But here is the cross, the hope of mankind, the only you'll find. And here is the Lamb